Hello my handheld gaming friends, it is Trav again with Handheld Horizon, and today I'm going to be ranking nearly every handheld gaming console ever made. Now I think I got almost all of the most impactful handhelds, but chances are I probably missed a few. Do me a favor, drop a comment below which ones I should have included. So let's not waste any more time, let's jump right in. So just a couple rules before we get going. Obviously I can't rank a handheld if I have never played it before, so if I didn't play them, I will put it in the did not play category. And I will be ranking these based on the impact they made, the library of games available for that console, and just my overall feeling toward the device and my experience with it. So you can see at the bottom here, I put in a couple what you could consider dedicated emulators. And I will be putting those in at the very end. So I'll do all the traditional consoles as well as the PC handhelds. And then at the end, I will be putting in the emulators as well. Okay, so let's get started here. First one up, we have the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy Color was amazing for me. It was the first console that I ever played Pokemon Crystal on. And Pokemon Crystal is like one of my top probably 3 games of all time. So I'm going to be putting it pretty high. I'm probably going to put it in A rank. The color really was a game changer, going from black and white or kind of like that greenish pea soup color of the original Game Boy was a pretty big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in A. Another big one, the PSP. The PSP was like, it hit me right at the perfect time. Right when I needed the PSP was there for me. So many great games on the PSP. The one that I remember playing the most was probably Kingdom Hearts. What was it? Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. And Birth by Sleep was an amazing game. Really left a mark on me. And actually, that is the last Kingdom Hearts game that I ever played. I did not play Kingdom Hearts 3. Because by the time Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, I was kind of past the series, to be honest. So I'm gonna go ahead and rank the PSP. I'm gonna put it right up there with the Game Boy Color. It's an amazing device, one of my favorites of all time. All right, the original Game Boy. And I think there's no other place to put this but in S. Without the original Game Boy, we probably wouldn't have any of the handhelds that we enjoy today. It came out actually before I was born, and then I think in like 1995, 1997-ish, my brother got one, and we had 2 games. We had Tetris, and we had a Star Wars game, and the Star Wars game was like insanely difficult. I think I replayed the first level probably 1,000 times. And I don't know how many batteries I went through on the original Game Boy. So I'm gonna put it in S. Without it, we would not have the rest of these amazing consoles below. Okay, next up, the ROG Ally X. Probably the handheld that I use the most currently. And this is gonna be a tough one because I don't want recency bias to get in the way here. Now, for now, I think I'm gonna put it in A, but that might change based on how the rest of the list goes. The ROG Ally X is just an amazing, versatile console. You can do so many things on it. You can play pretty much every game for every console on this entire tier list. So for me, that's just insane. It's cool, it's quiet, just great. So I'm gonna put it in A for now. That might change. Now here comes one I actually never got to play with myself. I think my cousin had one of these, but I never played with it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the Game Gear. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the Game Gear in didn't play. Fortunately, I don't have much experience with it, but I do know that it competed with the original Game Boy back in the 1990s. So an important console as well, but just not really an important one for me. Okay, Steam Deck OLED. Now, if you're a fan of the channel, you know how much I love the Steam Deck OLED. It's right up there with the best handheld gaming consoles of all time. So right off the bat, I'm gonna put it up in S tier. I'm gonna currently leave it below, you know, maybe, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it for now. I'm gonna put the OLED ahead of the Game Boy. The OLED just kicked off the modern handheld arms race as we know it, and it has made such a huge impact. Without the OLED, we wouldn't have all these great PC handhelds that we're seeing these days, like the Legion Go, ROG Ally X, One X Player, Ioneo, all those. So for me, it's special. I made a video and I titled it, "This is the only handheld you need," and it was a Steam Deck OLED. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Steam Deck OLED in the #1 spot. We'll see how that pans out. All right, next up, it looks like this is the original DSi. Now for me, I did have a DSi. It was not my favorite. I didn't really think it was much of an upgrade over the original DS Lite. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the DSi in the C category. Didn't really hit home for me very well. All right, this looks to be the new Nintendo 3DS XL. And that's a lot of terms there, and that's a very stupid name, but it turns out to be one of the best handhelds that I've ever owned. I actually have it right here, and it just has an amazing library of games on it. So I'm gonna go ahead, my first thought is to put it high A, put it #1 in A, and I think it's gonna stay there. I mean, the fact that you can play Majora's Mask Remake on this, you can play Ocarina of Time Remake, and you can play some of the best Fire Emblems ever made on it, it's gonna have to go high A for me. In fact, one of my favorite games of all time, Fire Emblem Awakening, which got me through my early college career, which was tough at times. I give much of the credit for that time to Fire Emblem Awakening and the 3DS. So I'm gonna leave it right there in the top of A. Okay, this looks to be the original Steam Deck. I mean, huge. My first thought is I'm gonna put it in the bottom of A. I've talked quite a bit about the Steam Deck OLED. The Steam Deck LCD was great. The screen was not great. The power and the battery were not great, but it was a game changer nonetheless. So I'm gonna put it in low A for now. Next up, we have the 2DS XL. And the 2DS is kind of a weird one. I did own a 2DS XL for a while, and it felt kind of cheap. Didn't feel as good as a new Nintendo 3DS XL or the original 3DS XL. And I kind of thought the whole purpose of the 3DS lineup was that it was 3D. So I never really jived with this one. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in B because I think it's a great console, but for me, it didn't really hit very hard. All right, we have the original Nintendo DS, one of the dumbest designs I've ever seen on a handheld, but back in 2004, I thought it was like the coolest thing since sliced bread. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one in high B as well. Now, I don't want you to think because these are together right now, like they're close in my opinion. The original DS is so much better than the 2DS XL, just in terms of the impact that it had and how much I played it. I played through Mario 64 3D, I think is what it's called on this. And one of my favorite vacations as a kid was when we went skiing and I had my 3DS with me, or excuse me, my DS with me as we were driving up to the mountain, and I was playing Mario 3D on it, and I just thought it was the coolest moment. So for me, it's gonna go high B. Okay, now we have the original Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance was probably the handheld that started my obsession with handhelds. I mean, I loved it. Just an amazing, amazing console. I remember my grandma got me it, and I got it for my birthday, got it in the mail, opened it up, and I didn't even really know what it was. I had never seen a handheld with this form factor before. And I think it came with, it came with a Mario game. I don't remember which one. but I remember turning it on and having to kind of like angle it towards the daylight. And actually, this is the one my grandma gave me. You can see I have Pokemon Crystal in there. And I just remember being like, oh my God, like this, it felt like a Super Nintendo in your hands. And at the time, I think it was like 2001, right around there. That was just mind-blowing for me. I played so many games on this. I think probably the game that I spent the most time on was Mario Kart Grand Prix. Loved that game. And I think I also played through Sapphire, Pokemon Sapphire on this as well, which is one of my favorite generations of Pokemon. So an amazing handheld. I'm gonna put it in S. It's gonna go in S right away. And I'm gonna rank it above the original Game Boy. Okay, here we have the new Nintendo 3DS. This is the non-XL edition, and people love these things. These are like 500 bucks right now on eBay, if it's in good condition. And for me though, I had a friend who had one, and I actually played with his quite a bit. But for me, I really like the big screens of the XL, and I thought that the XL fit in your pocket just fine anyway. So for me, this never hit that hard, but people love it. And so for that reason, I'm gonna put it in low A. Okay, now this one is probably gonna cause a little bit of drama, but one of my favorite gaming handhelds of all time is the Lenovo Legion Go. The screen is amazing. It's huge, yes. Is it pocketable? No, not even close. But it is one of my favorite handhelds of all time nonetheless. I have played so many amazing games on it, and if you want an experience, if you want the most immersive experience on a PC handheld that you can sit there with your headphones on, play anywhere, pick up the Legion Go. The Legion Go is amazing, and for that reason, I'm gonna be putting it in the S tier, and I will be putting it, I will be putting it below the original Game Boy. Now, the Legion Go is just amazing, and it's been probably my favorite PC handheld that I've ever owned. And so I'm super excited for the Legion Go 2 with the Z2 Extreme processor. Hopefully that is a generational jump. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in S. Fight me, I love it, it's amazing. Now, I don't know if this one counts. I just threw it on here kind of for shits and gigs, but Tamagotchi, I'm gonna put it in C tier. If there was a D tier or an F tier, I'd probably put it in there. I had a Tamagotchi in like probably the year 2000, and I had no idea how it worked, and it was just constantly beeping, like constantly telling me it was hungry, and I had no idea how to do it. So my favorite experience that I had with a Tamagotchi is when the battery finally died and it stopped beeping. So there you go. I know some people loved them, wasn't for me. All right, it looks like this is the DS Lite, I think. Yeah, I think this is the DS Lite. And the DS Lite is great. I love the DS Lite. It was a huge step up in terms of screen quality and brightness from the original DS. And I spent so much time on the DS Lite. I had probably some of my best Pokemon memories on the DS Lite, playing through Platinum, playing through Pokemon White, Pokemon Black, and I just loved it. So this one's gonna be pretty high. I'll probably put it, yeah, I'm gonna put it above the Game Boy Color. Okay, Game Boy Micro. I think I have my Micro here somewhere. Yep, here it is. Now, I love this guy. I think I got it on Amazon or maybe eBay in like 2010, right around there. And I think I got it for like 50 bucks. And I loved it. I played Golden Sun on this baby, and Golden Sun is just a great little Game Boy Advance RPG if you've never played it. But to be honest, it's kind of impractical. It's too small. I think the screen is 2 inches, and that's just too small for any reasonable person. Now that I'm getting older, my eyes are getting a little bit worse. If I do play this thing, which is like never, I'm having to hold it like right up against my face. So it's a cool thing, kind of a little novelty, but it's not going to be ranking very high. I think I'm going to put the micro in, I'll put it in B, and I'll put it above the 2DS XL. Alrighty, let's keep it rolling. Oh, actually, I forgot to show my DS Lite. This is one of my coolest handhelds I own. Special edition, Zelda edition. It's like in perfect condition, not a scratch on it. I love this thing, and unfortunately, I haven't played it very much because I don't want to damage it, but it's just an amazing DS Lite, and the DS Lite is super cool, so I wanted to show you guys that. Okay, let's keep moving. The PS Portal. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, moving on to the actual handheld consoles. The Game Boy Advance SP. The SP is great. The SP is one of the best ones ever made. It's absolutely gonna go in S tier. The difficult part is gonna be where I put it in S tier. I think I have to put it above the original because the SP had the backlight, it had the clamshell form factor. The clamshell is just perfect. And it essentially just improved on the original GBA in essentially every way. So it's gonna go in S. I think I'm gonna put it below the Steam Deck OLED. Man, the Steam Deck OLED has just left a huge impression on me. So I think it's gonna go there. I mean, the Game Boy Advance library is insane. Think of all the Pokemons, all the Fire Emblems, all the different cool little RPGs you could play on there. Okay, moving on to the original 3DS. So the original 3DS, the idea was great, but the execution was quite bad. The design of the console, like how everything was glossy, was not great. The design was, it was revolutionary because it was so new, so different, but it didn't feel good in your hand. The screen the bottom screen was elevated a little bit. The top glass was a fingerprint magnet, so it's like impossible to keep it clean. So while the 3DS is amazing, I'm gonna put it in B. I'm gonna put it just above the 2DS XL. All right, a newer one, a really cool one in my opinion, the Switch Lite. The Switch Lite, man. So I did have a Switch Lite at one point, and it was a cool little thing. I loved it. I felt like I liked the original Switch just a bit more, but I loved that the Switch Lite is pocketable, has pretty good battery life, and it's just one modular thing. Like, you don't have to worry about the Joy-Con, so I think that's really great. The Switch Lite is amazing, and I see that people are making OLED mods for the Switch Lite, which is gonna make it even better. I'm gonna go ahead and put the Switch Lite in the A category, and I'm probably gonna put it right above the DSi. Actually, I'll put it right below the DSi. Yeah, that's how it's gonna go. Actually, I'm gonna put it below the ROG Ally X2. Ally X is a great little system. Okay, so wow, the Switch OLED. This is probably the best handheld that Nintendo has ever made. Now, some people are like, it's not a handheld because you can plug it into your TV. I mean, come on guys, it's a handheld. And it's a great handheld. The screen on this just pops. It is truly amazing. I played Tears of the Kingdom on here. I bought the OLED for Tears of the Kingdom, and wow, knocked my socks off. And everyone knows the Switch library is probably the best console library probably ever. It's right up there with some of the best console libraries of all time. So yeah, I'm gonna put this one in S without a doubt. And I'm gonna put it above the SP for sure. Man, this is a tough one. the OLED Switch and the OLED Steam Deck. I think I'm gonna leave it as is right now. I'm gonna give the Steam Deck the edge because it can play PC games. And it has more power, better battery, well, about the same battery life. I'm gonna leave it as is. Okay, next up we have the N-Gage, which I don't think I can honestly give a rating on because I played it for such a short amount of time when I was like 10, so I didn't really get a very good feel for it, but I just remember thinking, this is dumb. And even then I didn't like it. I thought it was just not fun. And I thought the button layout was weird. I didn't know if it was like a phone or if it was a handheld gaming system. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in didn't play, but it was not good in my opinion. Okay, PSP Go. The PSP Go was interesting. I never owned one, but I've messed around enough with the PSP Go to know what it is and kind of what it was going for. It was pretty much trying to be like an all digital PSP. And for that, it was cool. It was thin and it had a little slidey mechanism, which was pretty cool. And it totally fit in your pocket, which was pretty sweet. But it didn't have the impact that the PSP had. And it kind of seemed like PlayStation released it and then they were like, oh, see what happens, and like never really seemed to like support it all that much. So the PSP Go I think is gonna go in C tier, and I'm gonna put it right above the DSi. Yeah, that's how it'll go. Okay, the original ROG Ally. And I'm gonna just say this is the Z1 Extreme version. Great console. Had one of these, upgraded to the Ally X. The downfall of the Ally was that the battery was just atrocious. It had great power, it had a great screen, but the battery was absolutely terrible. So I've talked about the Ally a little bit before in this video. The Ally X is amazing and the Ally is great. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Ally at the bottom of, I can't. I'm gonna put it on the top of B tier, and I'm gonna put it below, I'm gonna put it below the 3DS. That's how that will go. Okay. The original Game & Watch. So I had a Game & Watch, but I think I got it from like McDonald's or something. I don't remember exactly. I think they had these in Happy Meals for a while. And I think it was like a replica of the original Game & Watch. And it was pretty cool. I actually spent quite a bit of time with it. The games were pretty fun. It had like this juggling game, which was kind of cool. But it didn't really leave a lasting impact on me. I bet at the time it was probably really great when it initially came out. But for me, it wasn't that cool, wasn't that groundbreaking for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in C, and I'm gonna put it above the PSP Go. There we go. Turbo Express. I didn't know this existed until I made this tier list. I didn't know that this was a thing. So I cannot rank it, but apparently you could play Turbo graphics games on the Turbo Express, which is kind of cool. And so for that reason, I'll put it there. Okay, the original Switch LCD. Man, this was one of those transcendent gaming experiences for me. I got the Switch LCD and I got Breath of the Wild with it. And I remember I had to go on a work trip and I had to get on a plane. And I busted out my Switch for like the second or third time ever, plugged in Breath of the Wild, got some headphones on, was sitting on the plane, and played Breath of the Wild for probably 3 hours straight. And I just remember being like, this is the future of gaming. I was so blown away with that experience. It was so amazing. And like I've mentioned the library of the Switch before. At the time when I was playing Breath of the Wild, there wasn't a ton of great Switch games out yet. There were a few, but it was still pretty small. But just the fact that I was playing that Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, on the go was just mind-blowing to me. So I'm gonna rank this high. I'm gonna put it in S. I'm gonna put it in low S. And the reason why is because the Switch OLED is better in essentially every way. I think I'm gonna put it, yeah, I'm gonna put it above the Legion Go. Switch LCD, amazing. I still have mine right here. I did a shell swap on it and have a little case on it, and it's one of the best handhelds I've ever owned. Okay, the Lynx. So I had heard about the Lynx, but I think it came out before my time. I think my uncle had a Lynx, but I never played with it because he was like very protective of it. So the Lynx, never played it, but seems pretty cool. I'm gonna put it in didn't play because I can't honestly rate it. All right, and we have the DSi XL. Now, as opposed to the original DSi, I actually really liked the DSi XL. I thought it was really cool that it was so big. And I think, yes, I remember playing Pokemon Soul Silver on this device, and just great experience. Now, one thing I didn't like about the DSi XL was that it just like stretched the pixels of the original DS resolution, so everything looked kind of blurry. That was kind of a trade-off, but I loved it nonetheless. It's not one of the best of all time. I'm probably gonna put it in B, and I'll probably put it below the original DS. Yeah, that's how that'll go. Okay, the PS Vita. I thought the PS Vita was gonna be like the next big thing. I thought it was gonna be like the handheld console, and I think it could have been, but Sony just left it out to dry 100%. There are so many good games on the Vita, and there could have been so many more if Sony would have supported it. It was so ahead of its time. It has the OLED screen, it had the back touchpad, it had the dual analog sticks on a handheld, which at the time was like, what's that? The resolution was great. It was very vibrant. I remember playing Rayman Origins on this, and I think it was like 2012, right around there. And I just remember thinking, dang, like this is gonna be it. I'm gonna have this for years. And I did have it for years, but I rarely played it because Sony didn't really support it. I have actually come back around in recent years and have played a couple Vita games that I missed out on, Persona 4 Golden being one of them. And it's a great experience. I wish Sony could have done a better job with this. So for now, I'm gonna put it in, I'm gonna go ahead and put it at the top of, no, you know what? No, I'm gonna put it in A, and I'm gonna put it above the new 3DS. Okay, next up, this looks to be the non-new version of the 3DS XL. The 3DS XL was great. I love the 3DS XL. Played so many great games on here. I had a red one, I had a blue one, and both of them were just amazing. Really, really loved them, and low-key has been essentially resurrected by the homebrew community. The 3DS is one of the best consoles that you can own right now just to take on the go. And I mean, the game library is amazing. So I'm gonna put the 3DS right there with the new 3DS XL. I don't know where I put it. Yeah, I'm gonna put it right here, right next to it. Both of them just great consoles. The new 3DS had the little nub on it, which you could play a couple games with that. I think Majora's Mask, you could control the camera, and I think Xenoblade, you could control the camera. Didn't really have much other use, but it was a little bit more powerful, so that was pretty cool. But the original 3DS XL, great console, loved it, definitely high A tier. The PS Vita 2000. This, I mean, in my opinion, why did they make this console? I don't get it. It's a cheaper screen. Felt like a plastic toy compared to the metal construction of the original Vita. I did have one of these, and it was pretty cool. I actually played Persona 4 Golden on it, but the whole time I just felt like, man, this thing feels cheap, and the screen got so easily scratched. It did not feel great. I'm gonna put this one in low B, and yeah, I'm gonna put it below the 2DS XL. All right, now the 2DS, I think that's what this is called, just the 2DS, the brick. This one was okay. Have I owned one? I think I might have owned one for a while and then just flipped it to make some money on it, like back in like 2017 or something. But it just felt like a kid toy to me, so I didn't really spend much time with it. I'm gonna put this one in C. I'll at least give it top of C, because it was still a 3DS, and the 3DS has an amazing library. Okay, and then the last one in the non-emulator category is the 1X Player X1, and I think this one is actually the 1X Mini, but I'll rank it like it's the same. One of the most powerful handheld PCs that you can buy currently. And I'll kind of just rank 1X Player like as a whole, because they have quite a few different products, but I think this is probably the best product that they put out there. Now you can just kind of like slide the controllers into the side of it. It's not as good in my opinion as the Legion Go, the ROG Ally, not even close to the Steam Deck, but it's cool. It has a little stand, it doubles as a tablet. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this one, I'll put it in low B, and I'm gonna put it below the PS Vita, the PS Vita 2000. All right, so let's take a final look at this ranking and see if I'm gonna change anything. All right, let's look at S. Steam Deck OLED, Switch OLED, right there. Game Boy Advance SP has to be there. You know, I think I might actually move the original Game Boy Advance down. I might even move it down to A because it is represented here. So yeah, I am gonna move it down to A, and I'll actually put it right below the 3DS and right next to the DS Lite. Yeah, that looks good to me. Game Boy Advance SP has to be there. I'm gonna rank the Switch LCD higher than the original Game Boy, because I think there's a valid point in saying that the Switch had probably a bigger impact than the original Game Boy. And that's saying a lot, because the original Game Boy sold, I think, like 100 million plus units, and the Switch has sold more than that. I know they just broke another record. They're right there with the PS2. So one of the best selling consoles of all time. I think currently it's number 2. So the Switch is definitely an S tier. Legion Go, I know many people are gonna be like, how dare you put the Legion Go in S tier? But for me, the Legion Go is just, it's amazing. I love the Legion Go. The detachable controller's kind of stupid, to be honest with you. I've never really used it, but I'm gonna stick to my guns and I'm gonna keep that in S tier. I think I am gonna move the ROG Ally X up a little bit. I think I'll put it above the DS Lite. Yeah, I'll put it above the DS Lite. Yep. Steam Deck OLED, I mean, or Steam Deck LCD, I should say. I'm gonna put it above the PSP, PS Vita. Interesting that PSP and PS Vita kind of lined up with each other. You know what though, I think I'm gonna have to move the PSP up. I'm gonna put it above the Switch Lite. That makes sense. Original DS, DSi XL, Game Boy Advance Micro. I'm gonna put that below the 3DS. Okay, yep, making sense. All right, I think that's gonna be it. That is my personal ranking of all of the most notable gaming handhelds ever released, right there. Now, I'm also gonna be ranking the dedicated emulators, and I'm gonna put them in here as well, which is kind of gonna be a little bit of a weird, kind of a difficult task, but I'm gonna do it. So stick around if you wanna see that. After I looked through all the footage, I realized that there's one device that I kind of didn't give enough props to, and that device is the Nintendo DS Lite. The DS was an amazing console for Nintendo. They were on a hot streak coming off of the Game Boy Advance, and that then did even better with the DS Lite, because not only can it play Game Boy Advance games, but it can also play the amazing DS library. So I'm actually gonna take the DS right here, and I'm gonna move it up to S tier. And I think I am gonna move it ahead of both the Legion Go and the original Game Boy. I think that's how I'm gonna leave it right here. So as you can see, Nintendo dominating S tier, but that's because they've made some amazing handhelds over the years. All right, let's keep it rolling. I included some of the most notable. Now I know some people get mad when I call them emulators, but they really are like dedicated handheld systems that run emulators. So I'm just gonna call it an emulator for now, but they're pretty much just like handheld systems that run Linux, Android, whatever operating system. So I included some of the most notable ones here. I am sure there are many that you would like to be on here, but I included the ones that are like most impactful for me. So the TrimUI Brick, an amazing little device. It's not with me right here, but a great little handheld device, completely pocketable, can play up to PSP, PS1, Dreamcast-ish, and 100% portable, great battery life, and amazing screen. The resolution on this screen is actually pretty ridiculous. It's kind of overkill, to be honest with you. But if I had to put this in here with the rest of the consoles, I would put it at a high B. I'd probably put it right there with the PS Vita 2000. Yes, okay, in the same family, the TrimUI Smart Pro. I like this one better. It's like a better, more powerful PSP, essentially. And has a really good screen, has the dual analog sticks, all that kind of stuff. Great little device, and I think because it has more power, same power as the Brick actually, I prefer this one because you can actually play some 16:9 systems like the PSP, which is not a 16:9 system per se, but it's right up there with it. I'm gonna rank this one above the 2DS XL. Yeah, I think I like that. Wow, the RP5. Probably my favorite dedicated emulator I've ever owned. It's right there. It can play up to GameCube, PS2, and Switch, and it's an amazing little device. I'm gonna put it in A, and I think I'm gonna put it above the PS Vita. You might be asking, why? Well, it can play PS Vita, and has an OLED screen, and you can upscale the games 2x so they look better than the original PS Vita. And unfortunately, PS Vita emulation is still in its infancy and not very great, so the compatibility is kind of not great right now. But yeah, it's essentially a PS Vita 2. Yeah, I think you could put it that way. And it can play PS2 great, 3x resolution. It can play GameCube 3x resolution, and all the Android games too. So a great console, I love it. I just did my review on it a little bit ago. Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. So not gonna be as good as the RP5, obviously, but it was still quite impactful in the emulation community. I'm gonna put this in B, and I'm gonna put it above the TrimUI Smart Pro. Makes sense. All right, this is the RG35XX Plus, I think. And this is a cool one. I think it's right there with the TrimUI Brick. I like the Brick better, so I'm gonna put it a little bit lower, but it can essentially play almost all the same games as the Brick. The Brick is a little bit more powerful, but the 35XX is really well loved, well liked. Retroid Pocket Flip. I don't think I can rank this one, but I essentially know what it is because of my experience with the Retroid line. I will put it in didn't play, but I'm really excited for the Retroid Pocket 2, which is going to be coming out in the next couple of months, hopefully. The Anbernic RG35XX SP. It's a great, great device. I'm going to put it pretty high. I'll probably actually put it above the Game Boy Micro because it's actually useful. Actually move the Game Boy Micro down one there. Yeah, like that. Great little device, clamshell, perfect to take on the go. Mine is right here. This is, from what I have heard, I actually have not messed with the Miu Flip, but essentially this is just a much better Mew flip, and it came out way before the Mew flip. So I love this thing. I played Pokemon Radical Red on this and loved every minute of it. This is the Odin 2, and I'm gonna kind of be ranking the Odins all together, but the Odin 2 it's a great little console. I don't think it's as good as the RP5 though, and I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with me on that, but the Odin 2 is great. It's more powerful than the RP5, but I feel like because of its size, like for me, I would rather just grab my Steam Deck or my ROG Ally. So this is gonna go pretty high. I will probably put it right above the RP4 Pro. Yeah, that makes sense. And below the ROG Ally X. The RG40XXH, great little console, loved it, super cheap. I think you can buy this for like 40 bucks at times. Perfect little Super Nintendo machine, but not super impactful for me. I'm probably gonna put it below the 35XXH Plus, or the 35XX Plus, yeah. And then lastly, the Mew Mini Plus, or the Mew Mini, I'm gonna kind of rank them together. Probably my favorite low-powered emulation device. And so this one is gonna go pretty high. This one was like, the Mew Mini is the one that kicked off the whole, pretty much all of the emulators. I have two of them. Yeah, I have the Mini and I have the regular one right here. And it really did kick off the new kind of like handheld emulation craze. These still sell like hotcakes. And so I'm gonna put this one pretty high. I'm gonna put it probably an A, and I'm gonna put it right above, no, I gotta put it below the new Nintendo 3DS. All right, I think that is it. I think I am done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this ranking. Let me know what I did wrong. I'm sure you guys are just gonna massacre me in the comments, but this is my personal list, and for me, this feels about perfect. Thank you so much for watching today. As usual, make sure to do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Trav with Handheld Horizon. Have a good one.